What if 5 minutes of deliberate breathing could change how you feel today? One randomized study found that an exhale-focused practice improved positive mood more than 5 minutes of mindfulness. A meta-analysis found a small to medium average effect on self-reported stress. Then, a larger, carefully blinded trial found that very slow breathing did not outperform a matched breathing control. Those results are not contradictions to hide. Together, they tell us what breathwork may do, what it has not proved, and how to test it without turning a promising tool into a miracle claim. Breathwork is not one single intervention. You can change how fast you breathe, how deeply you breathe, how long you inhale or exhale, and whether you pause. The brief practice study compared 3 patterns. Cyclic sighing emphasized a longer exhale. Box breathing used equal phases of inhale, hold, exhale, and hold. A third pattern used faster, inhale-focused breathing with breath retention. Mindfulness was different. Participants observed natural breathing rather than deliberately controlling its rhythm. So a result for one pattern cannot automatically be applied to all breathing exercises. In the 2023 study, 108 adults were included. They were assigned to mindfulness or one of the 3 breathing groups and asked to practice for about 5 minutes a day across 28 days. Mood and state anxiety were measured immediately before and after each daily session. The entire trial was remote. Most participants came from a Stanford undergraduate psychology class, and the trial was registered retrospectively. That design captured many repeated daily measurements, but researchers could not directly verify exactly how every person practiced at home. All 4 groups reported less state anxiety, less negative affect, and more positive effect immediately after their sessions when averaged across the month. But the between-group result was narrower. Cyclic sighing produced a significantly larger increase in positive affect than mindfulness meditation. The other 2 breathwork patterns did not significantly outperform mindfulness on that outcome, and breathwork did not beat mindfulness for changes in state anxiety or negative affect. In plain English, cyclic sighing stood out for feeling more positive, not for winning every mood measure. There was also one physiological difference. Across the month, respiratory rate decreased more in the breathwork groups than in mindfulness, with cyclic sighing driving the clearest difference. But heart rate variability and resting heart rate did not significantly change. 10% of respondents to the optional debriefing reported negative experiences related to the exercises. The study also excluded people with several medical or psychiatric conditions that could be worsened by participation. So even a simple breathing exercise is not automatically comfortable or well-tested for everyone. What happens when many trials are pooled? A 2023 meta-analysis combined 12 randomized controlled trials and 785 adults for its primary stress outcome. Breathwork was associated with lower self-reported stress than control conditions, with a Hedges G of -0.35. Researchers call that a small to medium standardized effect. It is not a 35% stress reduction, and it does not tell you how many points your own stress score will change. The studies used different populations, breathing methods, comparison groups, and measurement scales. The pooled estimate is encouraging, but the foundations were not pristine. Most of the 12 stress studies were judged to have some risk of bias concerns, and a few were rated high risk overall. There were too few studies with follow-up measures to pool longer-term effects. This matters because feeling calmer after a session is different from showing durable improvement weeks or months later. The authors explicitly urged caution so that public enthusiasm would not race ahead of the evidence. Now for the strongest reality check. Another 2023 study randomized 400 online participants. One group practiced coherent breathing at about 5.5 breaths per minute. The matched control practiced at 12 breaths per minute. Both received credible instructions for paced, nasal, abdominal breathing and practiced for about 10 minutes a day over 4 weeks. Participants were blinded to the main hypothesis, and the 2 techniques were rated as equally credible. This was a much tougher comparison than breathwork versus a wait list or doing nothing. Stress scores improved over time in both groups, but the amount of improvement was not significantly different. The slower coherent breathing group also showed no advantage for anxiety, depression, well-being, or sleep. The most conservative conclusion is that this unsupported remote slow breathing protocol did not beat the matched breathing control. There is an important wrinkle. The control may itself have been active because it still involved paced, nasal, abdominal breathing. That means the result is not breathing versus nothing. It shows that slower was not clearly better under these conditions. A reasonable personal experiment is small and specific. If deliberate breathing feels comfortable for you, sit or lie down and try the study's cyclic sigh pattern for up to 5 minutes. Inhale slowly, take a second smaller inhale, then exhale slowly and fully. Return to normal breathing if you feel uncomfortable or lightheaded. Treat 5 minutes as the tested protocol, not a magical dose. Do not use breathwork to replace mental health care, medication, or urgent help. The evidence supports a possible short-term mood tool. It does not establish a cure or guarantee a lasting reduction in stress.